in partnership with our community, empower students to pursue high-quality, personalized educational pathways, and grow as responsible lifelong learners who respect and value differences. Roll call.
TJ Coe.
Here.
Chris Davenport.
Here.
Patty Herbst. Here. Tom Miller.
Here.
Rena Mendez.
Here.
Comments on agenda items is limited to board's agenda 3 minutes in length. We have one, Josh Craig. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Yes, if you can do it now, or you can wait, whatever. I'll wait. He's gonna do it.
New business, hold first preliminary determination hearing.
Second page of this. Starting there.
The next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a preliminary hearing on a proposed project. If you are interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have assigned a sign-in sheet which should include your name and address. After a presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the project. At the hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topic be limited to proposed project under construction. The notice of this primary determination hearing was published as legally required. At this time, I will ask that our counsel, Ms. Jones, explain the purpose of this hearing.
So pursuant to Indiana Code Section 6-1.1-20-3.5, a school corporation must hold 2 public hearings and adopt a resolution to preliminarily determine to issue bonds or enter a lease for a project which has a total project cost more than a certain threshold, or if the school corporation has a debt service fund tax rate above a certain amount. So this public hearing and the future consideration of resolutions are the very beginning of the legal process. We note that no board action is legally required at this hearing. Rather, this hearing is solely for the public comment section regarding the project.
We'll now hear from Superintendent Berta about the process of determining and communicating the project to the community and the need for the project.
Thank you, President Toth, members of the board. Josh, if you can switch over to that public hearing presentation. Okay, just to kind of give us a background on how we got here. I came on as superintendent in May of 2025. That summer we held strategic planning. We had a lot of participation from our community, our staff, and these were 5 areas that were hit. Empower student growth and achievement, maintain fiscal stability and transparency, retain, recruit, and develop high-quality staff, develop a facility improvement plan to address our Oiler learning environments and support student achievement, staff collaboration, and long-term community growth. And then the last one, build authentic connections with our Oiler families and strengthen partnerships that empower student and family success. Okay, and I have this 4th one highlighted because it directly has to do with what's going on here tonight. Quickly, we realized after this strategic plan was in place, we did not have a comprehensive needs assessment, a new one, or even one that was 5 or 10 years old in hand. And this is something that the committee for the facility improvement plan needed so that they can project and kind of create a plan on what needs to be taken care of year 1, year 3, year 5, year 10. So with that being said, we quickly developed a partnership with Fanning and Howey. They did a comprehensive needs assessment of all of our buildings here in the district. It was a 4-month process. It started in October of 2025. And these are 3 of the priorities that were identified that we'll be talking about for these bonds. Overall campus safety, campus building systems, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and then campus building interior environment, flooring, and lighting. Okay? So what is being proposed? Again, we're looking at updating our HVAC systems, electrical improvements throughout the campus, technology upgrades, and then plumbing upgrades, ADA compliance, first floor near the gymnasiums. Okay, right now with the bathrooms, we're grandfathered in because we've never had a major remodeling take place. So we're still in compliance, but we're looking at making things better for our staff and our guests that come inside the buildings. Next slide here. So why are these upgrades needed? Okay, so aging infrastructure is our big thing. Okay, we have building systems over 100 years old. Okay, these systems eventually will quit working. Think about your own household. You know, you have HVAC systems. You know, after so many years they quit working, or you're spending a ton of money to maintain them. And that's what we're getting at this point right now. So if you see down here, the last couple of years we've been spending over $100,000 a year to maintain our HVAC systems. Just this summer alone, we had 2 areas, the elementary main office and the high school, middle school main office, break down, and each of those jobs were over $35,000 to fix. Okay, NIPSCO right now is a little over $350,000 a year, and according to the professionals that we're working with, Fannie Holly Core Construction, they feel that we can knock that down closer to $300,000. Okay, so just by eliminating the $100,000 maintenance a year and lowering the overall NIPSCO cost, we're saving roughly $150,000 potentially with these system upgrades. Also, the skilled workers that know how to work on these systems are obviously retiring. There's only a handful in the area that know our buildings and how to work on them. And also the other major thing is they do not manufacture these parts anymore. Okay, so if we need something done, they have to fabricate these parts. And the reality is we have a classroom in the elementary building that we cannot use right now because of the mechanical systems in there and us not being able to fix them. So we had to take that teacher and relocate her to another part of the building. And so these types of situations are going to keep occurring. The professionals that know how to work on these said, yes, this is the first room. Going into next summer, you're probably going to have another room doing the same things. Okay, again, these systems are over 100 years old. The middle school, high school have outlived their life expectancy. And usually, so go to the next slide, Josh, here. So the high school was constructed in 1909. So usually after 50 years, you look at upgrading those systems. Okay? It's never been done. So Whiting's done a great job maintaining them, but now we're at a point where we can't do that anymore. They have to be changed out. Okay, and if you just kind of look at this timeline, 1909, Whiting High School was constructed. 1923, Whiting Primary School, Whiting Middle School was constructed. 1951, the gymnasium. 1975, Nathan Hill Elementary School. 1978, we had the transportation building. 1984, Whiting Primary High School, Middle School. They did some renovations there, but nothing with these systems that we're talking about. Nothing with the electrical, nothing with the HVAC, nothing with the plumbing. And then 1992, we had the administration in the athletic and pre-K building here. And then 1996, they did a little bit of work over at Nathan Hale, but nothing again was done with the electrical, with the mechanical upgrades, anything of that nature. And then 2010 was the last time the transportation building was touched. That sits over here on Center Street. So again, you know, Whiting has done a great job over all these years of maintaining it. Okay, but now we're at a point where we have to do these upgrades for our learning environment, for our staff and students. So again, impact on students, it's going to enhance safety, better air quality and comfort, improve learning environments, access to updated technology, and pride, overall pride, feeling good when you're in the building, right? It's important that our students feel good when they're inside our buildings. And then impact on staff, again, improved working conditions. It's going to help us retain teachers, reduce disruptions. Already this year, I think we had to go, was it 3 times? We had to go to e-learning because of our network situations and our electrical situations. Again, better instructional tools for our staff. And then students coming in their classrooms, they're excited to be there, they feel good what's going on. It's going to make them more focused and engaged on what's going on in the classrooms. And then community impact, again, it keeps schools competitive, maintains property value, supports long-term sustainability, and then we're investing in our future, we're investing in our students. Okay. And then what could happen if the work's not done? Minimum temperature, so state code says heating systems must maintain at least 68 degrees in our instructional rooms, okay? A maximum temperature of 78 degrees is recommended if air conditioning is provided, okay? So again, if these systems shut down, which they can at any moment, okay, we've been warned, our maintenance director, our maintenance team, they've been warned that we're getting to a point now where these systems could completely just stop working, okay? And that would force us to have to go to e-learning. Because we're not gonna be able to have, if it happens in the wintertime, we're not gonna be able to have students in the school if the building's freezing. Okay? So that's realistically what we're looking at. It is not a hypothetical, it's not what if, it's when. These systems are extremely old and they're breaking down. And then again, costs would just continue to rise. If the district would have done this 10, 15, 20 years ago, it would have been obviously a lot less money than it is now, right? If we wait, if we roll the dice and say, hey, we'll do it in 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 9 years, the price is gonna be even higher than it is now. So we're gonna be spending millions more dollars than we will be now, if we take care of this now. So I think it's financially the most responsible thing to do for our community and for our staff and students is to look at ways we can make these improvements now as we move forward. Okay? And then, is that the last slide?
Last one?
I think that's the last one, right?
Yep.
Okay. So again, it's just really the aging infrastructure. It's just a position that we're in. The school city should be very proud. The workers, the staff should be very proud of what they've been able to do for all these years. We've been able to maintain them. But we're really at a point now where we can't do that anymore. We have to look at making these improvements for our school community. Okay?
Thank you, Superintendent. We're now here from the advisors about how the proposed project will be financed, as well as information about the effects on the typical property tax.
We got Luke.
Good evening, Luke Rubin with Stifel, together with Eric Cinder at Cinder and Company. Here to talk about the potential financing for this project, and you'll see on the next couple slides how we plan to layer this in, what the impact is for the taxpayer. So the first thing that we always start with is school corporation's current outstanding debt obligations. You'll see there's 4 obligations outstanding: common school fund loan, 2015 GO, 2020 general obligation bonds, and 24 first mortgage bonds. And there is a dip in the payments from 26 to 27, and again 30 to 31 once those 2020 general obligation bonds pay off. If you flip to the next slide, this is the current debt service levy. This is really just a function of what the payments were on the prior slide, but also factoring in some cash and miscellaneous revenue that the school corporation is able to receive into that fund. The orange line is the debt service tax rate. Again, you'll see that really mirrors what the levy is. If you flip to the next slide, this would be the proposed $24,360,000 authorization. The plan would be to issue a portion of that in 2026 and a portion of that in 2028. We know that you're not going to need all of the funds on day one. So in brownish burgundy color is the potential 26 bonds of about $15.5 million, with the remaining just under $9 million coming back in 2028. That's represented by the blue bars there. So it will be a tax rate increase and a levy increase from 26 to 27. You'll note the dip in the tax rate in 2034, and that is when the TIF AB rolls off. What's interesting though is that the majority of Whiting taxpayers are at their tax caps. So although there is an increase in the levy, the majority of taxpayers will not feel an impact. There's no resolutions being passed tonight, but these parameters are maximum legal parameters and will be in the resolution set forth in front of you on the 27th. These are maximum numbers. Once they are set, we can come down from them, but once they are set, we cannot increase above them. So the par amount of the bonds, $24,360,000, that was outlined on the prior page. The estimated cost of issuance and professional fees of $590,000, leaving hard and soft project costs of $23,770,000. Estimated interest rate range of 3 to 7%. If we sold bonds today, you're probably around at 4%, maybe 4.25%. This is just the first step of the legal process again, so we try to be conservative early on with these parameters, knowing that it's there's still additional legal steps to be taken. Maximum term per bond issuance is 20 years. You'll see the estimated total interest cost of just over $20.5 million at a 6% interest rate. Again, we expect that to be lower. Maximum annual payment of $3.5 million. If you simply divide that by the school corporation's net assessed value, you get a tax rate impact of just over 71 cents. But as I showed in the previous slides, you do have some debt that is falling off, and when you factor in the debt payments that are falling off, you get a net increase of just over 24 cents. Tax impact to the median homeowner. This is where, again, Whiting is unique. While it is an increase in the levy and rate, the vast majority of the homeowners, especially the median taxpayer, is at their tax cap, so they will not feel an increase in their tax bill due to this project. The last couple ratios down there at the bottom, again, just to be set forth in your resolution, is the school corporation maximum annual payments as a percentage of your net assessed value is 0.53%. And the direct and overlapping debt as a percentage of your net assessed value is 6.68%. That is just factoring in city, town, library, county, all the other taxing districts, property tax debt, and yours as a percentage of your net assessed value. And I went through that pretty quick. That's a lot of information on there, but again, this will all be set forth in your resolution, so I don't want any surprises there. Happy to answer any questions that the board or administration has, though.
So if we do move forward and we do pass a resolution, there's no obligation to pull any money, correct?
Correct, yes. Yes. It gives you the authority to, but not obligation to.
Thank you.
We'll summarize this statement.
Thank you. Thanks. We will now open the public hearing. Remember, if you would like to speak, please sign in on the sheet which is located here. As I mentioned earlier, we ask that you state your name and address, limit your comments to your proposed project, keep any comments to 3 minutes, and avoid being repetitive if possible. May I have the sign-in sheet, which is here? Now we call names. Josh Craig.
I just wanted to speak a little bit about the item of new business that we're going to talk about. I think it is a pretty remarkable act of leadership on behalf of Superintendent Burda to show, as we navigate some challenging things, for him to be the one to say, hey, you as his boss, hey, can you revisit my contract and look at that? So I've worked in places where that kind of leadership is not always so evident. I'd like to say that I was surprised, but the truth is I wasn't. I know Dave, and I know his character, and it's exactly the kind of reason why I like working for him.
The public comment is to this only, public hearing only. Would anybody else like to speak? Would anybody else like to speak? No, we appreciate your time and interest in the project and the future of our community. Please note that this is just the first step in the legal process. No board action is legally required at this hearing. Rather, this hearing is solely to hear public comment. The board will continue to work with the administration and the professionals to look for efficiencies to conserve tax dollars while meeting our educational needs. The board will hold a second public hearing in the boardroom on April 27, 2026 at 6 p.m.
And just to wrap this part up, just stress it to the community that there's a lot of things that need to be addressed inside the buildings. And it's not going to be easy trying to figure out how we're going to get those things done. Kind of on my emails and newsletters, I put all Oilers all in. We're not going to be able to get it done without the community at some point or another. So we're going to be totally transparent with everybody as we move forward. We're going to keep being on social media with newsletters and the right stuff, newsletters in the Times and the Tribune. We're going to keep doing our part in being fiscally responsible. But there's some serious projects that need to be addressed for our students and our staff and our community. So thank you, President Toth. Yeah, we're going to Yeah, we'll skip and just do the superintendent's contract first before. So, some of the people that might be being interviewed for the library board, their work schedules and things of that nature, so they said they wouldn't be here right away at 5. So some might be getting here at 5:30, 5:40. So just to let you guys know that. So they will be happening tonight, because there's some people weren't able to get here right away. So with that being said, I recommend to the board president that we go to agenda item number 3, or C first, or which one is, no, 3. Yeah, the modification of the superintendent contract.
We'll go to modification of superintendent contract, discussion of proposed modifications to the superintendent contract from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2028.
So again, thank you, President Toth, members of the board. We're here today, I know I just started in May, and I'm already over here talking about my contract again, but I am doing this in the best interest of the school community and not for personal benefit. Back in February, I approached the board and I asked them to please review my contract and try to identify ways for cost savings as we move forward. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we move forward here. So again, my current contract language, it's a 260-day contract. It has a current base salary of $143,000, which I'm very blessed. Performance incentive stipend, not stipend, so performance incentives tied to base salary increases. So at the end of year 1, I'm coming up on an evaluation. If the board does the evaluation and I'm highly effective or effective, I would see a base increase to my salary. Okay, so if I was highly effective, I would get a $5,000 increase to my salary. If I was effective, I'd get a $3,000. If I was below that, there'd be no increase. Okay, so with that being said, if I was to receive highly effective for 3 years in a row, my salary would get up to $158,000. It'd be a $15,000 raise over 3 years. Okay, if I was just effective, it would be a $9,000 increase after the 3 years. Okay. You can go to the next slide. So I'm asking the board to consider doing this. It's a 260-day contract. Base salary would remain at $143,000. We would move to a performance stipend, a one-time stipend. For highly effective, it would be $5,500. Effective, $3,500. Needs improvement or ineffective, no stipend would be given. Okay? So if I were to receive a highly effective rating with the new language in the contract, my base salary would remain at $143,000. And I would receive a one-time stipend for the effective or highly effective rating. You go to the next one, Josh. Also, I'm asking the board to consider a vehicle allowance of $485 a month, which is a total of $5,820 a year. No longer would turn in mileage claims for anything under 50 miles. So basically, if I went to Lafayette, Fort Wayne, stuff like that, I would still do so. But this will help with the overall budget as we go month to month and we're trying to project long term. And also it keeps me from having to do these mileage forms for just going from here to Hammond or here to Griffith, here to East Chicago, okay? So contract, so if no changes were made, okay, my base salary would reach $158,000. And then when we sit down and renegotiate the contract again, we probably put this performance stipend in then, okay? Because we are a small district. You're not going to have a superintendent that's making $170,000, $180,000 in this small district. So we'd keep it at, it would be at $158,000, but then we'd have to still consider mileage and those stipends. So now we're getting closer to $168,000, maybe even $170,000 total package, okay? If we make these changes, my contract would stay, my base salary would stay $148,000, with the highly effective rating, one-time stipend of $5,500, and the $5,820 vehicle allowance. The total package would be $154,320. That amount alone, with everything tied together, is under what my salary would be if we left it alone. Okay? So that is why I'm here. And I know inside those packets it says $10,000 to $17,000. It's really more around $10,000 to $15,000 cost savings to the district as we move forward. Okay? Again, this is not I'm not doing this for a personal benefit. I'm trying to do it so we can project, we can look long-term, We understand what my vehicle allowance is gonna be every month instead of fluctuating month to month. And we don't have to see base increases in my overall salary as we move forward. I would be locked in at $143,000. And with the performance stipends, they're either at or below what the teacher appreciation grants are. So for a highly, highly effective teacher, they're making $7,500 through the teacher appreciation grant, so I'm below that as well. Okay? I think that's the last slide, right? So with that being said, President, so if you could go ahead and if there's any comment on the contract.
So the board is working with Superintendent Byrd on a revised vision of the superintendent contract that better reflects the parties' agreement. Under Indiana law, the board is required to receive comments from the public on the terms of the proposed superintendent contract. The board had duly published notice of tonight's public meeting along with the terms of the proposed contract in accordance with Indiana law. The board will only hear and consider comments regarding the terms of the proposed contract. These comments can be in the form of support or an objection to the proposed contract terms. If your comment is outside the scope of the terms of the project or the proposed contract, we would interrupt you and request that you limit your comments to the terms of the proposed contract. That being said, if anyone would like to speak, we ask that you approach the microphone, state your name and address, and then address the board with your comments.
And then, with that being said, that the district is in some financial troubles, as you know, with Senate Enroll Act 1. We are looking at some teachers retiring, some staff retiring. We will not be replacing those staff members. We're also looking at reducing staff, reduction in workforce as we move forward once we get to the first week of May. So we have a lot of tough decisions coming up financially, and I couldn't accept a base raise knowing that I have to let people go, and we're taking stuff away from our students. So again, I'm doing this for the district. I love Whiting. This is my hometown. This is where I came to school, and this was an honest gesture to show my part as being a leader.
So now I'll open the meeting to the public for any comments. Any comments? If there's no comments and wish to speak, the public comment section is closed, and I will now close this hearing on the proposed superintendent contract. It's closed.
I think we could just take a break, 5-minute break, and get set up for the interviews.
We're going to take a 5-minute break, set up for the interviews, and then we'll start the interviews.
Okay.
Superintendent, interview slide stream is on, or the interview slide stream is on there.
Thank you.
Be in the hot seat.
I'll be very as well.
Ashley Ann, from White Oak. Amy.
Rachel, my name should be removed. That's me, but my name should be removed.
That's okay.
I don't know if people, I don't think it's going to be the next meeting, it's going to be.
Yeah.
Walter?
Walter resigned.
So,
Oh, you
okay.
did?
Yes, thank you guys so much. Take care. Yeah,
Okay,
we'll see
because
you.
the letter I got said that he was interested in reading.
I don't know when that was. He resigned at the end of the
Okay, so he's not doing it. So Rachel, you are not, and Walter is not. Okay, and then we're sitting for Holly. Okay, all right, thank you guys. If, she should let me know. Okay. You guys know what she is?
Yeah,
Central Lake, I guess. Let me know.
Or bonds, I guess.
How many are you?
I guess, okay, there's one
She said she's going to be here.
I believe so.
That's already been applied.
No, no worries. I didn't think you.
So we're gonna get started with the interviews, and when I'm picking a name out of a hat, so you'll come up here and sit in the chair, we're gonna ask you. On a bowl. You'll sit up in the front here, we'll ask you a series of questions. There's five questions. We might be taking notes while you are speaking, so don't think we're not paying attention to you. We're taking notes for later. And if you guys have any questions, we'll get started. Allison?
You get the hot seat.
Yeah, I know, just get it going.
Would you like a bottle of water or anything?
No.
You sure? Anybody want a bottle of water that's interviewing?
I think so, Jesus, wait for the electrodes.
Would you be more comfortable saying that?
Ready.
Hi, welcome, Allison. So tell us about yourself and your qualifications to be a library board member.
As I stated in the submission, I was part of one of the first LSCs in Chicago. I represented Jane Addams on the east side. I then represented the district for the south side and eventually the district at the city level. When I was growing up, my favorite teacher was a librarian. To this day, when I ask that security question, who's your favorite teacher? It's Carol Ferran, librarian. I was gonna be one for the longest time. Well, Luke was here, I'm not usually nervous. I was gonna be one for the longest time. I was gonna go to Rosary College in River Forest. And then something changed, don't know what. I wound up at Bradley. And eventually I wound up on the trading floors. I was on the Midwest Stock Exchange, Midwest Options Exchange, Chicago Board of Options, Chicago Board of Trade, and Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Ultimately, I wound up doing the option settlements for where you have to apply analytical skills, problem solving. So that's what I did. I applied for this once before, like 25 years ago. And Jim Buckley was sitting in that chair. So it's not my first go round, but then life went on. I wound up at the chamber. I'm on the chamber board. I was on the exec, on the board. I've been in lighting for like 30 years, live across the street from the school. So that's me.
Thank you. So what do you believe is the role of a library board member?
I think much like a school board member, it's the institution of programs. And this was going on back when I first ran, where the library in this town is a functioning entity. And while it's a sad situation where it's a de facto after-school program, a babysitting program, it still is a safe place for young kids to go. As with anything in the school system, the liberal arts side has become less and less. Libraries are no longer functioning. I knew the Dewey Decimal System when I was in 3rd grade, but libraries are no longer a functioning place. Music and the arts are downgraded, and that's the stuff that builds the character of a child and gives them a more rounded education. And the library, to hold a book versus a telephone, is more important than anything. More and more print media is going away. Reading is not a thing to be proud of anymore. It's just not there. And I find that our library offers so many programs from the youngest to the oldest that it just needs to maintain its standards. You know, the programs for the kids, I don't know how many times you go in there and you see one of the old guys in there reading the newspaper. It doesn't only supply a place to get a book, it supplies a social and safe zone.
Describe the qualities of an effective library board member.
To ensure the financial stability, to ensure that safe place, they're there to make sure that they're current on things that are of interest to all of the users. It's just important to spend that money properly on what's needed, whether it's the physical being of the building, or whether it's the well-rounded offering to the users of the library. Their job is to ensure that that building is functioning the way it should.
Thank you. So, next one is, what contributions would you make to the library board?
Well, I think I bring the love of books. When I first moved here 30 years ago, the mover, when it was all done, complained about the number of books he brought into my house. He said it was worse than moving the furniture. You know, and it just scares me that they're gonna go away. And, you know, it's, like I said, people aren't holding the physical anymore. They want everything immediate, they want everything of access, you know, from research to just, I think every kid should have a Dr. Seuss book. But, you know, it's just, I don't know, it just needs to survive.
Thank you. And last question, what ideas do you have for encouraging students of all ages to use the library resources?
I think it's in the programs because of the way it's set up. I think the interaction between the school and the library should be a solid one, that kids should be encouraged to do their research on papers and stuff, at least one paper using a physical book, like whether it's an encyclopedia or if they're doing some kind of English class, they should be encouraged to do it using the book, so you know at least they're reading one of them at some point during the school year. And it has to be that give and take, because it can't just turn into a babysitting center. There has to be something more to it, and that should be the goal of the library board, is to not only make it a comfortable and safe place, but an educational place, and to try and build that love of books, so that they can 50 years later say, favorite teacher, Carol Ferrand.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I was thinking it was a chair.
Catherine Farmer? Thank you for coming. So tell us about yourself and your qualifications to be a library board member.
I think like most, I am a Euler graduate of '99.
Hey.
With my art teacher over here.
Best class ever.
Right?
Yes.
Whew. Stories. I also, I am also a fifth grade teacher. I am a parent to a now 15-year-old. I was a library kid myself who, in school, there wasn't practice, went to the library I was a nerd, yes, I did all the research. I also serve at the Griffith YMCA, so I do tutoring there and after-school programming when I'm done teaching.
Thank you.
And I also help Hammond with their strategic planning stuff as well.
What do you believe is the role of the library board member?
I think the role of the library board is to be present, to take accountability, to listen, to be one, present in the community at events, whether it's school board meetings, whether it's a library events, to come together and collaborate. And I'm sure there are difficult decisions, but to listen to all parties. And ultimately, not only what is best for our children, but our community, because it does serve such a big purpose in the community.
Thank you. Describe the qualities of an effective library board member.
Listening, communication, collaboration, meeting together, right? Not everyone's opinions, just like a school board or any board, everyone has different opinions, and I think it's understanding and what is for the greater good of the community and the school. I think it goes hand in hand because they, I think a lot of kids, I call them library kids, it is the safe place. So I think it's working with the school and following suit, kind of working together hand in hand.
Thank you. So what contributions would you make to the library board?
I think one, teaching fifth grade, right, kind of in the middle. So bringing and they've done a great job with tutoring services. I think being in the know, offering, like I said, different services, and I think they do an amazing job anyways, but I think it's coming together and moving forward. I know Allison talked about, people don't want to read physical books anymore, and while that is the truth, it's like, what can we do to get them to read? Because obviously education is important to me, so how can we meet them where they're at, whether it's, TikToks or Instagram. I know they do all sorts of things, so I think it's a merriment of trying to get there together.
Thank you. What ideas do you have for encouraging students of all ages to use the library resources?
To make it a welcoming place, and I think there are so many services that they offer that a lot of older teens or younger that they don't know. So again, working with the school and surrounding schools of this is what is available. I think being present, whether that's back to school nights or games or things like that, to promote it. You have to promote your mission statement, or people aren't going to know.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
I'm good.
That's all. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Ashley? Hi. Welcome. So tell us about yourself and your qualifications to be on a library board, or be a library board member.
Sure. Just like everybody else, I graduated from Whiting. My class was a little bit later, class of 2010. Miss Minnes was my art teacher. Patty has been my neighbor for many years until she recently moved. I have had experience working with children. I taught retention at Wentworth Intermediate School in Illinois, which is helping children who can't do math or reading on level, specifically working with the 5th, 6th, and 7th graders to help them get on level so that they can go where they need to. A big part of that was working with the school library there. I also worked at Whiting Public Library as a staff member in the children's department for just a few months before I had to leave. Unfortunately, I had to have surgery. I personally know how hard it is to get kids into the library, how to keep kids into the library, and I think a big part of that is programming. I was part of the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council when I was in high school, so I worked a lot with community engagement and programming.
Thank you. So what do you believe is the role of a library board member?
I think the role of the library board member is to work in correlation with the community and the library director to make sure everybody's community needs are met, as well as maintaining a safe and healthy workplace for everybody involved.
Describe the qualities of an effective library board member.
I believe listening is a huge thing. 9 out of 10 times the community is going to tell you what they need, and you just have to find a way to meet their needs. Honesty and transparency is a big thing. A lot of times people just want to know what's going on, and if you're honest with them about what's happening, they're willing to work with you. I also think community engagement is a big thing. Showing up in the community, letting people know who you are, letting them know about all of the library resources is a huge part of that.
Thank you. What contributions would you make to the library board?
I personally would want to work with the school, especially. When I worked at the library, I thought there was a huge missed opportunity for the school to be involved with the library. I know that the kindergarten and first graders do library visits, and we try to sign up as many kids as we can for library cards. But I think there's a huge gap missing for older kids who don't really know that the library has a lot of other things besides just Tinker toys and board books to offer.
Thank you. So what ideas do you have for encouraging students of all ages to use the library resources?
I would like to focus on working with the school, especially for break times. I know that the library has a summer reading program. I think they could have a winter reading program. We can implement programs that run in correlation to spring breaks, not only with Whiting, but St. John. A lot of homeschooling kids have breaks at the same time as well. So I would really want to focus on community engagement with the kids and drawing them in during their breaks from school.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Holly? So about Ruiz?
She's not here.
So we'll go through these, we'll talk as a group, as board members, and you guys will get notified, candidate that we chose by next meeting.
You'll be approved next meeting.
You'll be approved next meeting.
Yeah.
But you're all gonna contact if you made it or didn't make it.
Thank you.
Is there any public comments? Any public comments? So, motion to adjourn meeting? Motion. Motion by Chris, second by Patty. Any comments, questions, or concerns? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you.